Once you've downloaded the CADspan plugin for Sketchup, you can see that the toolbar will show up and it has a list of tools. We have a layer tool that helps to override the typical layers within SketchUp in case you want to cut up a model for 3D printing and isolate layers. An unsmooth tool so that you can take organic shapes and make them more editable for 3D printing. A visualizer, which we'll go over in this tutorial, the CADspan engine, an STL import, export, and a calculator. So to show you how this works, we'll go ahead and bring a model in from the warehouse. Search for a house. We'll go ahead and grab the first one, download it, load it in, drop it in at the origin and have a look. So house looks pretty reasonable, and we'll see that these planters, these are not going to 3D print, these are actually 2D objects, so we'll go ahead and remove those. And then it's good to have a cursory look at the model if it's something you're not familiar with. If you've drawn it, obviously you should have some knowledge of it, but typically you want to make sure that there's a base, you're not missing anything under your eaves, or soffits are often missed. So this looks like it's fairly solid. So I will click on the visualizer tool. Now this is going to show the direction of faces. So anything that's this tan color is pointed the right direction. Anything red is pointed the wrong direction. CADspan doesn't actually care about that, but 3D printers do. If you're looking for holes, it is very valuable to go ahead and flip all the red faces the other direction, and then anytime you are seeing your red, you're actually seeing the inside of your model, and that's not so good. So useful visualizing tool, but we'll go ahead and have a look on the inside of this model. You can see that there's a lot of interior geometry, which if we were going to segment this model in the 3D printer, we might want that. In this case, I was thinking about an external print, so all this geometry is superfluous, and it's also somewhat of a negative because the interior volumes here will actually encapsulate the 3D printing powder and make this model incredibly expensive to print. So CADspan will take care of that for us as well. I'll show you that in just a moment here. We can go ahead and log into the CADspan engine, and we can upload this model. And if you're using free, CADspan free, it will ask if you want to overwrite, because you can only do one file at a time. CADspan Pro, you can do as many as you'd like, but we'll go ahead and overwrite the previous file. Export in inches. And if we look down here, you'll see the progress of your upload. The model has been uploaded. We can now choose settings for this so that we can choose the gap fill and resolution. Resolution will deal with the smallest triangle size of the model. Gap fill will deal with how large a hole in the model CADspan will attempt to fill. I'm going to leave it just with the settings at 10 and 5 and go ahead and hit process. Again, in free there's only one file at a time, so it's asking if I want to overwrite the previous one. And it then loads up to the Amazon Cloud server, and I've been assigned a computer up there, and it will begin processing my file shortly. And as it says down here, it can take some time to process, especially if it's a very complicated model. You can close this anytime you want and bring it back up anytime you want. And it does not affect it because you're not processing on your local computer, you're processing up on the cloud. If you want to close this and continue working or work on another file, that's perfectly fine. Nothing I do here will affect what's going on in CADspan. So I will actually go ahead and open up a new model. I'll check on my status here. Still processing. The free version will process slower than Pro. LGM actually pays for every single model processed in CADspan. Processing is just finishing, and I can go ahead and download the model. Or if I were to noticed a giant error in the file, I can re-upload and reprocess or change the settings and process the file that's already on the server there. But I'm going to go ahead and download the model that it completed, and I will just save it to my desktop. And here's this uniquely named file folder. If I right click, I can extract all. And here's the actual STL file. So if I jump back to SketchUp, I can use the STL importer and grab that file. You can see again the progress down in the lower left. It's complete. So here's the house. Now this is a CADspan STL. STLs are triangulated meshes, so that's why it looks the way it does. STL is also a colorless format by and large, so we do see that the model is now monochrome. If we go ahead and click the visualizer, you can see now it took care of all of those red faces and pointed them the right way. And if I go ahead and grab the section plane, stick it somewhere in the middle of the house, all the internal geometry is gone and we're ready to go ahead and 3D print, or we can hollow this model with other software and 3D print it. Either way, it is a single solid mesh with 0 errors and it's ready to go.